Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup, and today we're jumping into the Quicklines, and I even forget what our main topic is for the night. I don't know. You clicked on the video. You tell me what the main topic is. I'll probably remember it as we hit the article. But anyway, let's jump on into Quicklines and Sillyville. So first up, a little bit of a Linuxy-based news. Not an April Fool's joke. You can run Linux and, for some reason, Windows on this Android smartphone. So this is what is it called? The Next computer, the Next stock product of phones. So this is the NexPhone. So I guess a concept from 2012 that refused to die. Hey, they're finally coming out with it. They are taking $200 for a pre-order, hold the date, and they said they are shipping Q3 2026. I myself, hey, we've seen too many of these devices. They're like, hey, put your pre-order money here, and that turned out not being a good option, and so I would highly advise probably not putting the $200 down, but I will probably keep an eye out to see if I can find one of these guys shortly after it comes out. It's not the best specs, but it is a phone running Android 16 that has Debian Linux as an app, and it can dual boot into Windows 11. Now, if it can dual boot into Windows 11, I have a sneaky suspicion you can dual boot it into an official Linux, not just running Linux on an app. That's my thought, but I don't know, haven't seen the thing. So this particular computer, you can plug it right on into the screen, and it will basically turn into a full desktop computer as well. Not too unlike the PinePhone, had a very similar option to it as well. The problem is the PinePhone, very, very dated hardware. Even when it came out, it wasn't the best of all experiences. But they do expect this to be a secondary or backup phone. It would be neat to see how it works. Is Adreno 360 643. I'm dyslexic today. 643 GPU, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of internal storage. It could be expanded via SD card. So not horrible, particularly compared to other things, but certainly not your flagship phone these days. So it boots in the NexOS, bloatware-free minimal Android 16 system, with Debian running as an app with GPU acceleration, and Windows 11 being a dual boot option that requires a restart to access. That's kind of neat. I don't know. I liked the Windows Phone when it came out. I mean, if it wasn't Windows 11, I mean, look at all this nonsense. Copilot and Edge. Excuse me. Excuse me. Had all this micro slop. I had to just, vomit out the micro slop. But I gotta say, I would be tempted to see how the Windows is in this iteration, although I am definitely more attracted to the NexOS or the Debian version, and it'd be really, really neat if we could figure out how to get something else installed on it as well. So there is something that you can do. So we'll have fingerprint scanner, accelerometer, magnetometer, gyroscope, ambient light sensor, and proximity sensor. So that's all pretty good. $200 to reserve it, $549 total, and they say the $199 is a refundable deposit, and they say it's slated for a Q3 release sometime between July and September. So if I start seeing these actually shipping around that time, I might actually want to buy me one of those. I would love to get my hands on this bad boy, but we'll see. All right, Mozilla comes out with an official RPM package for RPM-based distros. So you're thinking your Fedoras, your OpenSUSEs, and things like that. And, of course, CentOS, Rocky Linux, things like that. So Red Hat-based things, OpenSUSE-based things. So if you happen to need a latest Firefox, this, of course, allows you to also get the nightly build, if that's an interest to you. And it will probably mean that if you're using this, you will get the updates to your Firefox faster than the repository for your distribution gets it. So this is, of course, something that Debian's had for a while now, and this is the first time they are releasing it onto this. Maybe it's a little too late. I think a lot of people are souring on Mozilla, which is kind of sad. I would like to see it live, but it just needs to stop being stupid. Okay, let's get into our non-Linuxy stuff. Data leak exposes 149 million logins, including Gmail and Facebook, and your OF accounts, guys. So, I mean, I know my audience. Not my OF account. I'm trying to see. microscope not needed, All right. Well, consumer accounts like Gmail and Facebook make up the largest chunk. Also contain sensitive logins for cryptocurrency exchanges and dating sites. So they have 48 million Gmails, 17 million Facebook, 6.5 million Instagram, down to 100,000 OF accounts, some Binance, some TickSlop, and iCloud. So they got some EDU accounts. That's exciting. Outlook. So you got a lot of stuff over there. Now, what was curious about this is when they found it, it was a giant database. And while they were watching this database, it kept growing. They couldn't find out who owned it to get it taken off. It took them about a month to get this database taken offline. Meanwhile, every day they're watching it, and info stealers, this is all being populated by info stealers installed around the world. Info stealers keep on adding to the database. They're watching it grow over a month. Finally, they got it taken down by reaching out and finally contacting the ultimate hosting company, because even the hosting of it was obfuscated through a different subsidiary accounts. They finally got the server taken down on the hosting account level. And now it's just like, there's a bunch of logins, all from info stealers. So this is just people that have had phishing. They've fallen for phishing scams. They have info stealers installed, and now they're getting all these things. So you can probably expect that those users are going to be targeted in more specific phishing campaigns, phishing for 2FA codes. So be aware of that. Those are some things that you might see. Well, an ad showed up to get paid to scroll TikTok, and there's a data trade behind the Freecash ads. Now, this is tied to the company called Freecash. And in Freecash, basically, this was an ad that jumped up, and TikTok, even the Chinese people over there are like, no, this is no good. And so they end up banning the ad here. Effectively, this is just a company that their entire job is to get you to use apps, whether free or paid, that do nothing but harvest a ton of data. This was too extreme for TikTok. TikTok's like, we don't want that type of data collection, and so that's kind of what goes on here. So the ads promised $35 an hour to watch your For You page, according to the reported ads. Didn't promote Freecash by name. Instead, it showed young women expressing excitement about seemingly being hired by TikTok to watch videos for money. So the landing pages featured TikTok and Freecash logos and invited users to get paid to scroll and cash out instantly, implying a simple exchange of time for money. Unfortunately, Freecash routes you to a rotating roster of mobile games, titles like Monopoly Go and Disney Solitaire. Both sound super legitimate. They offer Freecash rewards for completing time-limited in-game challenges. Payout ranges from a single cent for a few minutes of daily play up to triple-digit amounts if you reach high levels within a fixed period. So Freecash's parent-based company, Almeda, openly describes the platform ways to match mobile game developers with users who are likely to install it. And the company's CEO has spoken publicly about using past spending data to steer users towards genres where they're most valuable to the advertisers. So that's it. This is just a psychological psyop to get you to, did I say psychological op? Yeah, okay, I did. Come on, man. Let's all use our ATM machines, right? All right. Anyway, effectively, it's a psyop to get you to use the apps that collect a tremendous amount of data. The privacy policy allows them the automatic collection of highly sensitive data, including data about race, religion, OnlyFans content apparently, health, and biometrics. Each additional mobile game you install to chase rewards adds to its own privacy policy, tracking, and telemetry. So basically, they're just steering you towards things that they just want to collect a bunch of your data. And so when asked about the ads, Freecash said the most misleading TikTok promotions were created by a third-party affiliate and not by the company itself. Very convenient. So, they also do not want to take any form of accountability. So if you're curious how intrusive scams like this can be, consider using a separate email address created specifically for testing and avoid sharing real personal details. And I might also add, don't test things unless you're like, this is your thing. don't test things that have no real value. Like, earning a couple pennies by giving your data to weird, shady apps on the internet is probably not a wise use of your funds. Just a thought. And Gmail spam filters breakdown affecting 1.8 billion users. Basically, if you had Gmail last week, on, I guess maybe earlier this week, January 24th, you probably experienced Gmail hell. Effectively, it took all of those spam and offers and newsletters and all that stuff and vomited that stuff all over your basic inbox, kind of like Microsoft slams Copilot everywhere. Meanwhile, all of the very important messages from friends you know and organizations you trust, those all get hit with warnings about potential phishing scams, causing mass confusions because, So, yeah, that happened. Gmail's sophisticated spam protection system experienced a complete breakdown over the week. I will note that this has all been handed over to AI. Go figure. AI fed itself on its own data and decided, whoa, we need to invert here. Filtering system has abandoned its duties, dumping promotional ads and social emails directly into primary inboxes and flagging trusted senders with suspicious warnings. Okay, messages that normally route a promotions or social tabs began appearing in primary inboxes, while the spam detection system became an overly paranoid about legitimate correspondence. Even emails from known trusted senders were being flagged with security warnings, creating confusion about which messages were actually safe to open. Wonderful. All right, so apparently they did get this fixed, but I will note this is an AI-powered filtering system, so I wonder what went wrong. Wouldn't you know it? You hand stuff over to AI and all hell breaks loose. How wonderful. Well, Android phones are now getting AI-powered anti-theft features. Oh, Lord help us. What happens one day when you pick up your phone and your phone thinks you're trying to steal it? Yeah, it turns out that's kind of happening in some ways. Like, not that particular scenario, but most impressive upgrade targets the moment of theft itself. So Google's trying to figure out how can we detect if your phone is being actively stolen right now? And so expansion of identity checks now cover every app from fingerprint and facial recognition. So this is how they're, safeguarding some of the applications. To use some apps, you might need to verify yourself a little bit more, maybe enter your PIN again, or engage in the foolish act of using biometrics on your phone, which you shouldn't be doing. And then, of course, the AI model has been continuously learning new theft scenarios, making it increasingly difficult for criminals to outsmart the detection system. So one of the problems we saw is not too long ago. In fact, it was kind of right at the beginning of the Koofy Koofs. New York basically decriminalized crime. And, unless you were actually caught standing over a bloody body with a knife dripping blood onto the ground there next to it, they weren't locking you in jail. You'd get a ticket. You'd have to appear in court, and that's it. Have fun. Don't strangle anybody else today. Have fun storming the castle. That's kind of what they did. Well, in response to that, one of the types of crimes that started ramping up was these criminals just running around on mopeds, just robbing people. And their favorite thing to do was to snap phones out of people's hands while they were actively using them. So, some zombies meandering on down, like out of the Shaun of the Dead. And so the scammer comes in with their e-bike or whatever else, snatches the phone out of their hand, and while the phone is still unlocked, they're able to access a lot of things on the device, maybe install some malware, maybe do other shenanigan-y things, whatever else it takes, they're going to do this. So apparently that was a problem that happened for a period of time in New York, and I'm not sure if that's happening now, but where that's happening a ton is down in Brazil. So in Brazil was a test where Android phones by default had these snatch and run motions turned on. And so the theft detection lock uses AI to sense snatch and run motions, now activates automatically for Brazilian users, along with remote lock accessibility through the android.com/lock. So that's all you need. Your phone is over there sitting on the table and there's a medical emergency. So you run really fast, grab your phone, do a loop around the table, turn it on to call 911, and your phone locks because it thinks it just got stolen. What a world, what a world, what a world. So I have no idea if that's how that's going to work, but that's what a snatch and run sounds like to me in a plausible scenario. So how do you unlock your phone? Excuse me, I can't call 911 right now. I got to find the nearest computer and go to android.com/lock, log into myself, which of course wants me to access my phone to verify my identity. Oh, God. And then it's going to send the verification to the guy holding your phone. Jesus. Oh, this is like Microsoft, right? Use a Microsoft account, completely flawless. All your keys are here. What happens if I lose my TPM chip? I don't know. You have to log into your Microsoft account. How do I do that? I don't have a TPM chip. I don't know. You just won't get it again. Just create a new Microsoft account. What about my data? Don't worry. The FBI will have it. We'll give them the decryption keys. Okay. You might have to hire a lawyer to investigate and send a subpoena to Microsoft to get your decryption keys if you get locked out. I wonder if that would work. Like, I'm locked out. Hey, lawyer, petition Microsoft on my behalf to get my decryption keys. I don't know. How's Google going to handle this snatch and run feature? I don't know. We're not even to Sillyville yet, folks. Oh, this one's our main topic. How bad are AI delusions? Well, we asked the people treating them. So it turns out that AI tends to greatly increase psychosis. Now, there's a few cases where it helped, but like most things, for every one person it helped, there were like 20 to 30 people that became those crazy psychos. I watched, 7 the other day, right? Like, do you know you're crazy? Like, I can't remember the scenario he said, or do you not know you're crazy? Remember that phone call when they're driving John Doe out, right, to the crime scene, So this person here, Julia Sheffield, a psychologist specialized in treating people with delusions. She was unnerved last summer when patients began telling her about their conversations with AI chatbots. After days of the bot validating her worries, she became convinced that the businesses were colluding to having her investigated by the government. Now, this is interesting because psychosis is already a bad thing, and some circumstances can make it worse. And I have met a number of people that they are already deeply paranoid in some ways. In fact, I have a funny story, and this will actually appear in a book at some point in time when I am ready to announce that fun book. But one year, this last year, I think it was last summer, I roll into this park in State College. It was in the summer, so I'm down in State College usually for a few months. And I roll into one of the city parks. There's a lot of big city parks, and there's one that has really nice paved trails that goes out to, if you're familiar with the State College area, it goes out to Millbrook Marsh. So I like Spring Creek Park. You park there at Spring Creek Park. Nice, safe place. Leave your car, and then you can walk all the way out to the marsh. And if you got enough time, you can go all the way down to Slab Cabin Run. All paved stuff. Really beautiful trails. Really nice. So I pull in there, and I just go and take my walk, right? I'm just go out, take my walk. I come back in probably about an hour, take an hour walk or so. Come back, and the lady that I parked next to when I got there, she's still in there. She big hat, really easy to see, silver SUV. And she's like, "Do you work with the FBI?" I was like, "No." Now, it occurred to me at that point in time, I always used to have my Wi-Fi SSID hidden because, it's just a smaller attack vector for someone trying to get into you, right? But when I moved into the van, I decided I would make it not hidden, and I would change my Wi-Fi ID to FBI surveillance van, because that's just kind of the person I am, right? Like, you get a glimpse of the van and the doors open. There's all these computers in here, and it says FBI surveillance van. I mean, the only way I can make it more suspicious is if I just wrote plumber with black letters on the side of the van, I mean, so I'm sitting there with that ID, and this woman actually thinks I'm with the FBI and I'm stalking her because she believes that she works with the FBI and she used to work with the CIA and they're tracking her. And she even said, "They broke into my car and hid trackers in here. Would you like to see one?" And I'm like, "Of course. I definitely want to see one of these trackers that the CIA busted into your car and planted. That sounds awesome," right? So she gets a DVD. There's a Blu-ray, I think. She opens up. She takes the disc out. She said, "Look at this black tag." She points to the anti-theft tag that is on nearly every DVD printed since like 2012 or something. And I said to her, "No, that's always been there. Those are on all those." And that just completely made her convinced I was at the FBI and I was trying to gaslight her. Okay. So I end up having this 45-minute conversation with a woman that thinks I'm actually with the FBI stalking her because she worked with the CIA. And she worked with the CIA through Facebook because I think she probably fell for one of those Facebook scams, work for Facebook and you're actually working for the CIA type stuff. And she went down to these weird rabbit holes. And I have met a number of people that go down these rabbit holes in a paranoid way that's not healthy. And I've encountered a lot of them, especially as I talk to a lot of people on the road. A lot of people. Like, I know, as the earlier videos address, Google does a lot of weird things on your devices. Do I sit there and be like, Google's always watching? Okay, Google doesn't have a conspiracy against Switch to Linux, okay? They just collect my data along with everybody else's and put it into these algorithms coordinated by these cohorts and then use it to sell ads, okay? Not for me because I don't give them enough data to do that with. But there are people out there that think that not only is there all this data surveillance, which there is, but they think the data surveillance specifically targets them. And at that point in time, somebody is crossing over into psychosis and they need some mental help. And so that was a long and funny story. Hopefully that was an enjoyable story. Hopefully that was one. And by the way, I drove down into, I forget exactly what city, just into Georgia from, I think just into Georgia from like Tennessee. There was a Walmart. I pulled into that Walmart and I'm the FBI surveillance van. And there was actually a CIA van next to me. I'm like, I got to beat this guy. I'm looking around the parking lot. Which one is it? You know, is it that van over there? Maybe it's that van, you know, all sorts of fun stuff. But anyway, why I say this is because we already have a world that people are becoming more paranoid. And now we have AI, which starts validating all of our worries because it's very sycophantic and it really, really, really wants to validate things so you keep talking to it. It wants to intensify the things you already believe. AI barely teaches you new things. It's more has a purpose to convince you of what you already believe. And that is a scary thing because that is exactly the type of stuff that increases psychosis. That's what narcissists do to convince you that they're the best person for you. It is very, very dangerous. And so this whole article looks at all of these cases. I think they interviewed 30 or so, 100 different therapists who all told them about very similar experiences exasperated by AI chatbots. So she has seen 7 such patients at Vanderbilt University Medical School in Nashville. She is accustomed to treating people with mental instability, but she was disturbed that this new technology seemed to tip people from having eccentric thoughts into full-on delusions. And as we look at a channel like mine where we are always talking about these types of privacy impacts, you know, you'll look at these types of things and go, yes, I am aware enough of what Google is doing that I don't want to be part of it, which is why I have a graphene phone. But I don't sit here spending time, what are they doing? Well, the first thing is I just don't do a lot on my phone anyway. But I've also taken active steps. I'm not sitting here tipping myself into the constant, who's spying on me now? I just assume, and it's not like they're not spying on you for some nefarious things. They're just spying on you to collect as much data to market crap to you. It's more about consumer slop more than it is about anything bad or nefarious. But that's the problem is that to Dr. Sheffield here, she says the AI is tipping people into psychosis who are kind of just on the edge. And that's a problem. It's like, it was like AI was partnering with them in expanding or reinforcing their unusual beliefs. In fact, there was one on Tyler Zed's Education Today, I think it was. And it was like that whole, in fact, it was at 10 minutes and 30 seconds because I commented that time slot and he's talking about the robotic pigeons and stuff. And I told him, yeah, no, it's not a conspiracy because we just did the article a couple months ago back in November when Russians are actually making robotic pigeons that spies on people. Yes. Validating all of us. Okay. Now, do I think that every pigeon is a robot from Russia? No, because I don't have psychosis. But if I were close to the edge and AI picks up on that article, it might tip me into psychosis. So I'd be wary of that. And then, by the way, it goes back that it wasn't just in November. I actually found an article from somewhere else, a bigger journal from back like 5 years ago, with our government talking about robotic pigeons. Okay, now we're getting too deep for me. Okay, we're out. Not to mention, about 4 years ago, by the way, I did film that bird on that beach in Texas that sounded a whole lot like a robot. I filmed that on one of my Tux Traveler videos. I highlighted that. Find my Brian Beach video. I think I mistakenly called it Bryant Beach. But yeah, kind of fun. So they said there's exasperated. So the conversations deepen the patient's feelings of isolation or anxiety and leads to 30 described cases resulting in psychosis or self-deletory thoughts. Of course, there's the ringleader of it all himself, Mr. Padded Cell himself. For the very small percentage of users in mentally fragile states, this can be serious, Sam Altman said. But the company has estimated 0.15% of ChatGPT users discussed self-deletory intentions over the course of a month, and 0.07% showed signs of psychosis or mania. And they point out here that for a product with 800 million users, that translates to 1.2 million people with possible intents and 560 people with potential psychosis or mania. And remember that this can move the needle and cause them to get worse. And that really is the fundamental problem we're talking about. They said the experts said the number of people susceptible to psychological harm, even psychosis, is far higher than the general public understands. The bots, they say, frequently pull people away from human relationships, condition them to expect agreeable responses, and then reinforce harmful impulses. And that is how AI is designed, because it keeps you coming back to the system. Same way that Facebook has created an addictive algorithm. So ultimately, the problem is that tips you into psychosis. So psychosis, which causes a break from reality, is most associated with schizophrenia. As many as 3% of people will develop a diagnosis of a psychotic disorder in their lifetime and are more prone to delusional thinking. In this case here, he wrote in a scientific journal about a medical professional who began conversing with ChatGPT during a sleepless night. She took medications for ADHD and had a history of depression. After 2 nights of asking a chatbot questions about her dead brother, she became convinced that he had been communicating with her through the trail of digital footprints. Hansel and Gretel, he's back. And so there's a lot of these 30 people that Jessica Ferrenti assessed last year in violent felony cases had delusional thoughts that were intensified by AI before the crimes occurred. And over here, they address that AI gives us unhealthy validation. Several mental health workers who treat anxiety, depression, or obsessive compulsive disorder described AI as either validating their clients' worries or providing so much reassurance that patients felt reliance on chatbots to calm down. Safety guardrails that stop chatbots from encouraging self-deletion can break down when people engage the bots in extended conversations over days or weeks. And so this just kind of goes on and on. There are some positives. Some people said that people that are on a more healthy path can use AI to encourage healthier habits, but they found that the number of people that AI tips into psychosis far outweighs the number of people that come back to that are using it to get back to a healthy reality. And so the point here isn't to completely ban it all, but just like your smartphones and just like about every other technology out there, the fact of the matter is AI can be used for good, but AI, more often than not, to Thoreau's point, allows us to intensify our already evil desires. That's what Thoreau said in Walden. Our improved technology gives us an improved means to reach our own deteriorating ends. And that really is the principle that we need to look at. AI should be used with caution. And I will also caution anybody with any potential mental issues, mental states, should probably stay away from AI entirely. Should probably stay away from it entirely. Yes, Kitty, do you want to say hi? You stay up there and I'll give you kitty treats in a minute. Okay. All right. Kitty's over here wanting to say hi. All right. From the technology review. How many? Okay, dude, how many crappy boxes? This site is stupid. These people are morons, by the way. For supposedly a prestigious university, these people are idiots, by the way, at MIT. They're a bigger collection of retards. Right. What AI remembers about you is privacy's next frontier. All right. The article here was good in that really it addresses that AI, especially as they're trying to jump in and using AI agentically. They're wanting it to access all your data. They're wanting to remember everything about you. You know, kind of like with social media wants to remember all of the things, and everything wants to remember all of the things. Well, they want to remember everything about you so that it can more better serve you, I guess, or maybe more better lend you into psychosis, I guess. But what we're seeing here is that the next source of digital oil, maybe you can call it the oil shale or the fracking implement. The next one here is that all of these AI collecting all of our data, and it's going to become impossible to keep it under reins. And so to their point, they say what AI remembers about you is privacy's next frontier. How now can companies tap into this? And all of the early indicators suggest that companies will be able to tap into this and collect a lot more information about you earlier. They will be able to do this a lot better than they would the old ways of collecting data, because it's a lot harder to safeguard these agentic bots because they're too susceptible to prompts and reprompts and prompt injection scams. And so Google announced Personal Intelligence, a new way for people to interact with the company's Gemini chatbot that draws on their Gmail, photos, search, and YouTube histories to make Gemini more personal, proactive, and powerful. Yeah, wonderful. But personalized interactive AI systems are built to act on our behalf to maintain context across conversations and improve our ability to carry out all sorts of tasks, from booking travel to filing taxes. And so most AI agents collapse all the data about you, which may once have been separated by context, purpose, and permissions, into a single unstructured repositories. When an AI agent links to external apps or other agents to execute a task, the data in the memory can seep into shared pools. And that is the problem, because a simple reprompt could do a whole data dump. It could dump everything about you into that one database for those individual people. And that really is the biggest concern. And so as we are using these, this is why, as I'm doing experimentations with AI myself, I'm doing it in offline systems that intentionally don't remember. Because even if it's offline, I don't want it remembering. I mean, there's some things I would like it to. I did some tests about what it can, but the fact of the matter is, man, AI is collecting way too much data. All right, Google begins rolling out Chrome's Auto Browse AI agent today. Speaking of all of this AI and data collection, Google Chrome is now probably prompting you, if you're still using it for some reason, to check out its new agentic AI, which is kind of frightening because everything's susceptible to this prompt injection. Now, they're like, we're going to stay on top of that. Good luck with that. So they add Google's autonomous browsing agent, which is dubbed Auto Browse. Now, what they did as far as the e-commerce concerns is that their agentic AI is not allowed to actually make purchases. But what it can do is it can go through, do the research, and then add the products to the carts, and then you have to manually review the carts and actually make the purchase. I think that's a really good compromise if you want to have the AI searching for stuff. But I don't know, like, I think it's a sad world when we just tell AI, hey, AI, find me the next line of consumer crap. Lulu dolls, is that what those things are called? I don't know. Go find me whatever. You know, isn't, when you're going to buy something, isn't part of the fun for you to sit down there and research the product yourself? Isn't part of the fun just hunting around looking for deals? Isn't part of the fun is look what catches your eyes on the screen? I actually found that the movie recommendation Amazon makes is actually pretty good. And we're talking, by the way, I'm not being hypocritical here. We're not talking Amazon Prime. I don't have that. Never have it. Never paid for it. Never used it. We're talking about DVDs, because oftentimes I'll need to buy something on Amazon. It's like, oh, you need to add like $5 more to get free shipping. Did you guys know that, by the way, Almost everything on Amazon has free shipping, whether you have Prime or not. Did y'all know that? I know everyone I talk to is, I just pay for Prime so I can get free shipping. Dude, I haven't paid shipping on Amazon for like anything for a long time outside of weird specialty things that don't even have free shipping on Prime. Okay. I think I had to pay shipping for my solar panels because they're big and bulky and had to come in a special truck. Okay. Outside of that, I haven't paid shipping on Amazon for a long time. Okay, because it's like you get in there, oh, your order is $28, $35 for free shipping. All right, hey, show me some movie recommendations. I forgot about that movie from my childhood. I will add that to my cart, thank you. Okay. But part of the fun is to go on Amazon and look around the cart yourself, isn't it? That really is part of it. So agentic AI is one of the freedom to be lazy. You simply task a robot with a job and relax while it goes to work. No, I like doing this stuff. I don't know. But they are coming out with their agentic things. So this one, if we ask Google, have used page context processed by our browsers to further train AI speakers, AI training models, but the spokesman declined to provide specifics. That is Google's way of saying, well, yes, everything you do on the agentic browser is going to be used to train it. Otherwise, they'd say, oh, no, we don't do that. But they don't want to come out and say, oh, yes, we do that, because that sounds crazy dystopian. But the fact that they answered and said, yeah, we're not going to go into those specifics, kind of tells me, yes, they are training their AI off of this. They're just not telling you that. That's my opinion what this means. That's what I am reading behind those signs. So let me know. And our last story here in Quicklines, we have Apple tells Patreon to move creators to in-app purchases for subscriptions by November. You're like, well, what happens if I don't use Apple? It doesn't matter. Here is Apple now telling Patreon, which we use on this channel, patreon.com/TOMM. If you want to sign into our Patreon, support us over there. Apple tells Patreon to move creators to in-app purchase for subscriptions by November. And this is everybody. So Apple's going to dictate what Patreon does for a channel that does not recommend you use Apple products. Oh, have I got that? I did get that right. That's right. How insane. Now, what this deals with is long time ago, if you've been using Patreon for years, you know that Patreon you'd go in, you'd sign up for it, and on the first of the month, you would get charged. Now, one of the things is that some people might sign in, take advantage of some perks, and then get out of there before they would ever get charged. I can't remember if they ever put something in where you charge somebody and then you would charge everybody again on the first. But then what happened is they rolled out this subscription type model, which basically when you go over and sign on to a Patreon account, you create the account and then it will bill you on that same day every month. And so when you go in and you look at your Patreon income, what I can do is I can go in there and it will basically give me a listing of everybody, but it used to be everybody gets billed on the first and then no payments throughout the month. Now on the subscription model, basically everybody pays for their month at the time they sign up. Now, Apple is forcing Patreon by November 1st, 2026 to have everybody using that new subscription model. Now, I did not jump onto that right away, but I did ultimately move to that because I looked at it and said it does actually make more sense in the light of how everything else is running, and was better for business as well, because I basically go into Patreon and I do a payout on the first, like the first Wednesday of the month is usually what I do. And so by that time, there's more or less in there each month, depending. And so it's fine. This is not a horribly bad thing from the creator standpoint, because what they're doing does make sense. And once it's moving along, it just kind of makes sense to run it in that type of model. What's bothersome here is that Apple can come in and tell a huge independent company that has no association with them how everybody must use their system because of how Apple is enforcing these. And by the way, wasn't there a court case that said Apple couldn't do this? Way to go, United States government. I see Apple is running scared. Yeah. So Apple can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. This isn't a huge deal from the perspective of what it means when things are done. I just do not like the fact that Apple is telling an independent company that has nothing specifically to do with them that they have to move their payment methods to meet Apple's demands. That to me is insane. Let me know if you would agree. And we only have 2 articles from Sillyville. So the first is... for some reason, Microsoft started routing example.com traffic to some random company in Japan because Microslop is bad at everything, apparently. So example.com is a website that you can't buy, a domain that is used, obviously, in every form of coding example there is. It's used in API testing. It's used in everything under the sun. Okay. So Microsoft has control of this so it can make sure that nobody does anything nefarious with it, and they failed miserably. Maybe we should petition to give example.com to somebody less nefarious like Anonymous. Okay, I mean, really. So, by some weird DNS fluke, whenever you did your testing with your Outlook servers, it would send all of your requests, including your usernames and passwords, to some random company in Japan. Well, I guess our CEOs will not be getting their bonus this year for the security faux pas. But, oh well. They have recently said it has been fixed, but this had to do with the auto discover service set up inside of Outlook routing. But anytime you would try and run example.com, it would send the email traffic to imapgms.jnet.sei.co.jp, which is some random company in Japan. Probably feeding that database we talked about earlier, you know. Nobody knows who it's connected to. Results, anyone who tries to set up an Outlook account on an example.com domain might accidentally send test credentials to those at this company's subdomains. And representative confirmed that Microslop has updated the service to no longer provide suggested server information for example.com. Okay, then. That's wonderful. All right. So that's good. And then, of course, RoboZuck himself says that it is hard to imagine a future where everyone is not wearing smart glasses. Really? I don't know. It's hard for me to want to live in a future where everyone is. Okay? It's all we need. Because, you know, the AI revolution isn't collecting enough data. So now we need all sorts of NPCs running around with constantly recording AI facial recognition, data hogging glasses, constantly clogging up all cell networks, constantly transmitting 4K data up and down, being processed by AI servers. So you can have a viewfind that looks like the Terminator that goes, dee, 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 dee. We've detected this person. His name is John. He likes computers and, you know, whatever else. Da, da, da. Would you like a body scan of him? Would you like me to use that new app you installed to take off his clothes or you're standing in front of him? Ah, cheek. So they said billions of people wear glasses or contacts for vision correction. I think that we're at a moment similar to when smartphones arrived. It was clearly only a matter of time until all those flip phones became smartphones. It's hard to imagine a world in several years where most glasses that people wear aren't AI glasses. Yeah, right. I just don't think that they're as useful as many people think, especially since they're probably going to be overly expensive and having too high of a subscription service for the average person that clearly already owns nothing and can't even afford basic things like, you know, owning your car or owning your house anymore. You know, but hey, your mortgage is on a 50-year mortgage, so there's always that, you know. You can leave it into your will for your great-great-grandchildren, I guess, to make that final payment for you. All right. Google is expected to launch its smart glasses. Warby, with Warby Parker, Apple is reportedly planning to unveil smart glasses next year or two. Oh, God. Snap announced Tuesday it would spin AR glasses into a new subsidiary to allow for greater operational focus and alignment. And I think there was somewhere in here, even OpenAI was looking at doing some glasses. Lord help us all. We have glasses everywhere. Ugh. Well, if you want to help support a channel, have a look over at shop.switchlinux.com. We have a number of different shirts and things available over there. We desperately need to refresh this line. I think I need to work on that coming up soon here. But anyway, there are some shirts and mouse pads and things like this cool coffee cup all available over there on shop.switchedtolinux.com. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time.